Thank you for joining the media briefing for Montgomery County Council President Andrew Friedson. I'm Jordan Lindsay. Reporters, if you still need permission to record, or if you have any questions throughout this briefing, you can note that in the chat, or you can raise your hand and I will call on you accordingly. Now I'll toss it to Council President Friedson for remarks, and then we'll open it up for questions. Council President, to you.
Thank you, Jordan. Good morning, and thank you everybody for joining us today. Let me begin today with a heavy heart on this one-year anniversary of the Hamas terrorist attack, where nearly 1,500 innocent civilians were murdered and kidnapped in the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. Anti-Semitism turning into violence and genocide isn't world history. It's personal for most Jewish families. For an overwhelming number of Jews, 2 millennia of anti-Jewish violence has a direct and impactful connection to family members from the Holocaust or in Russian and Eastern European pogroms over the past 2 centuries. As we stand in the middle of the 10 days of awe between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we reflect on the past year with the heavy weight of this tragedy and the safety and security of our Jewish community on our minds, both here in Montgomery County and across the globe. We denounce all forms of anti-Semitism and condemn all acts of hate as we remain ever vigilant. Here in Montgomery County, we know that diversity is our strength. We continue our unified commitment to providing the resources necessary to ensure that all residents of all faiths can gather and worship freely across our community, and that everybody in our community can be who they are, can learn and worship where they are, and can do so in safety and in security. For all who continue to mourn loved ones lost on October 7th, may their memories be a blessing. Let us continue to pray for the safe return of all of the hostages, and may we find peace within ourselves, in our community, and for our world. Now I'm going to move on to a weekend update and a few council items. I had another busy weekend out in the community, including engaging with friends and neighbors at Taste of Bethesda and celebrating Oktoberfest in Germantown. I also joined the Wheaton community at Marion Friar Plaza for the Hispanic Heritage Festival and Health Fair. And it was a great turnout, an amazing weekend, beautiful weather, and it was a true privilege to be able to participate, as well as joining Habitat for Humanity for their 5th annual Polo Classic this weekend, which was really a great opportunity to join together with a great organization that provides the security and dignity of housing in our community, and even got to give out the awards for the best dressed 2 young people who looked great and really got into the festivities of the day. In addition, we have a council session coming up, and we have council proclamations recognizing World Mental Health Day and Domestic Violence Awareness Month tomorrow. We'll also be conducting interviews for the Board of Appeals and for the board chair on the Board of Appeals, and we'll be holding multiple public hearings. One of the main items we'll hold a public hearing on is a $2 million supplemental appropriation to the fiscal year 25 operating budget for Montgomery County Public Schools for vape detection and prevention systems. The funding comes from the class action lawsuit against electronic cigarette company Juul. In 2019, in consultation with the Office of the County Attorney and the County Executive, the council authorized taking legal action against Juul Labs and their parent company, Altria Group, based primarily on their illegal advertising that targeted youth for their products. In 2024, e-cigarettes were the most commonly used tobacco product among middle and high school students in the United States. Reports from youth risk behavior surveys from DC, Maryland, and Virginia show that Maryland has the highest incidences of reported high school students who vape at 14%. The survey found that the percentage of students who vape are 10% in DC, 8% in Virginia, and 14% in Maryland. This is much higher than the CDC's national average of about 6% for middle and high schoolers. And the grand majority, about 90%, use flavored and disposable e-cigarettes. The CDC notes the other factors for high usage include product accessibility, availability of flavored products, social influences, and adolescent brain sensitivity to nicotine. As the Board of Health, which the County Council serves as, it is our responsibility to take all of these realities into account and find solutions. We have a collective responsibility to combat this issue. And the funds provided through the settlement are one way we will be able to reinforce detection and prevention measures in our schools. If you go into too many of our schools, you'll see cartridges in the trash cans in the bathrooms. It is an epidemic. We have heard it from students, we've heard it from teachers, we've heard it from counselors, and we are diligently and aggressively working together with our partners in the school system to address it. There's a Transportation Environment and Public Safety Committee meeting on Monday afternoon to look at Montgomery County Police Department's traffic enforcement plan. The committees are expected to receive a briefing on the 2024 automated traffic enforcement plan. Overall, the plan emphasizes a proactive approach to automated enforcement by leveraging technology to mitigate risk, promote adherence to traffic laws, and enhance road safety. MCPD will join to discuss their plans for expansion of automated enforcement mechanisms, including speed and red light cameras, in order to provide more coverage around the county. Montgomery County has been using automated red light camera enforcement for more than 25 years and speed cameras for more than 50 years. It's a technology that has proven to reduce crashes and fatalities in our community. And as you know, we've talked about previously, Bill 1424 before the council would address vehicle noise abatement monitoring. This is a bill that was introduced by lead sponsor, Council Vice President Kate Stewart, creating a pilot program under the authorization of a recent state law change to deploy 3 noise abatement monitoring systems or noise cameras throughout the county. With that, happy to open it up to questions and appreciate everybody for joining us today, particularly on this especially somber day.
Thank you, Council President. Reporters, again, if you have any questions, you can note that in the chat or raise your hand. Up first, we have Kate Ryan from WTOP. Good afternoon, Kate, or good morning, Kate. I think you're still muted.
It's still morning, Kate, but we'll see how long my your question.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear
Yes.
Sorry about that. My screen is a little scrambled here. Thank you very much for your message this morning, but also I do have questions about the vape detection contract or the plan to give $2 million for this. Have you seen a study showing the effectiveness of the schools in which this was piloted? I don't know that one was presented. I haven't seen it. I've asked the school board about it. How do we know that these things work? I've heard anecdotally that something as simple as perfume can set them off. I've heard that teachers next door to these, when they were in operation, heard alarms go off all day long. I don't know how that's monitored. What information have you gotten from the school system that tells you it's a good investment?
I don't have a study available that I'm aware of, so we'd have to follow up with the school system on that. It sounds like you've already done that, but we certainly can try to follow up as well.
But do you have questions? I mean, I know you're, you guys are stewards of the money that's invested into the school system. And then I have a follow-up on a slightly different school topic.
Well, I think it's all hands on deck when it comes to the vaping epidemic in schools. Obviously, we want to make sure that the dollars that are being appropriated, in this case, the settlement dollars, are being utilized in the best way that they can be. Ultimately, who is contracted and how they're contracted is the job of the school board, and it's our job to provide oversight of those funds. So yes, it's something that we're interested in and concerned about. We authorize the funds to be spent. We don't actually make the deals, and then ultimately it's up to the school board to ensure that the deals that are made, the contracts that are signed by the most appropriate vendors in the most appropriate ways and go to the highest needs and the best use. And we'll provide the level of oversight that's needed to ensure that, including the Inspector General efforts that we have undertaken and increased, and the regular committee and joint committee meetings that we've had to provide the level of oversight that I believe is appropriate.
Thank you. And just to follow up on the issue of contracts and the school board, you asked very sharp, very direct questions on the handling of the school bus contract, the e-school bus contract. Have you heard back from the superintendent? I know that the Taxpayers League has asked them to put a hold on this rather than continuing with negotiations with this particular vendor. What have you heard since? Do you have confidence that the school board will follow up?
I've spoken directly with the superintendent. We have not received official and formal correspondence yet in response to our questions, but we have been in conversation following up on some of the questions that I have asked. I know that he is personally looking into it, as he has shared with me, to try to get answers to some of those questions. There are real concerns about the way that that was handled, the way that it continues to be handled. Some of the responses that were received at the joint committee I didn't find to be adequate. And we want to make sure that they get back to us with all of the information in as thorough and transparent and accountable way as possible. And there are open questions on what that negotiation should look like, including what I said in that joint committee session, or excuse me, in that audit committee session, that the money that's owed is owed, full stop. This is not a negotiation. When you owe public dollars, you owe public dollars. And there is not a negotiation to determine whether or not you believe you should have to pay all the money that you owe. When a vendor signs a contract, they're committed to fulfilling the obligations of that contract. In this case, the vendor did not fulfill their obligations, and they have to pay for what they agreed to as part of their contractual obligations.
Got it. And just finally, so that's why I'm asking about the vaping contract, because do you have the same level of confidence that the school board gets that they must, check to see, are these things working? Are we getting bang for the buck? Is the question, I guess.
That continues to be a question on every contract that gets signed, both by the school system and by any public agency. It's something that I am always concerned about. It's something that I am always thinking about. It's something that I have tried in every capacity that I have as the council president and as a council member to make sure that we are pushing them in that direction. That's why I have championed increasing the role and the functions for the Office of Inspector General. It's why I have passed forward with increased and strengthening of our ethics laws. It's why I have strengthened a lot of our oversight functions and our budgeting functions. This is something that has really been at the forefront and at the center of much of my public career, even before I joined the council. I previously was in an oversight role in state agencies, and it's something that I'll continue to focus on and try to address to the extent that I can. Obviously, when it comes to independent agencies that we provide funding for, MCPS being the most notable and obviously the largest, it's even more challenging and something that we have to be even more vigilant about. And we have to make sure that we're collaborating as much as we can with the school board, understanding their function, understanding our function, and making sure that we're all doing everything that we can to do the jobs that residents have elected us to do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Great, thank you, Kate. I don't see any other questions from reporters at the moment. Again, reporters, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand or note that in the chat. Any last minute questions going once? Kate, did you have another question?
Yes, I always do.
Okay. Let's just see. Yeah, if you have another question, go ahead. I don't see any other hands.
And I'll keep it brief. I'm just listening in earlier on the Public Safety Committee hearing on the 911 call center, on the staffing levels, et cetera. Do you have specific concerns about the staffing levels? And one of the things that stunned me was I know that they often get calls that are not 911 calls. Sometimes it's a complaint about a neighbor or a barking dog or something like that. And they were talking about the need to launch a public service campaign to educate people on, here's when you call us, here's when you call 311. What are your concerns, and how do you feel that the county is addressing the need to make sure that when I dial 911, I get someone quickly and I get to the right place?
Well, yes, it's a concern. We have major concerns in our public safety staffing levels, and we have major concerns in our 911 staffing levels. It is something that has been ongoing for many years, something that we have done much in each of the last budget cycles to try to address. A lot of this is not just a funding issue, it is a bodies issue. We struggle to be able to find enough people to serve in these roles. Unfortunately, we are losing more people than we're able to recruit fast enough. And it is a major challenge. It's not unique to Montgomery County. I will say it is a challenge faced by many jurisdictions around the region and throughout the country. Yes, we need more education. I always say public safety is a team sport, and that includes, see something, say something, and it also includes understanding where to call and what is an emergency and what isn't an emergency and how to get the best resources possible. We want to make sure that when an emergency happens, that everyone knows who to call and they get the help they need when they need it. And we have work to do as a council, as a county, and as a community, working collaboratively to get to where we need to be.
Got it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
No last minute questions going once. Reporters, if you have any last minute questions going twice, 3 times. Okay, back to you, Council President.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hope you'll join us tomorrow at our council session. As I mentioned, and as noted, appreciate everybody's thoughts throughout what is a very challenging and somber day. Tonight, I'll be at the community-wide commemoration as well for October 7th, and appreciate everybody's thoughts, as many members in our community have heavy hearts today. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for all of your thoughts, and look forward to seeing everybody soon.